Bear Down Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, good kid, John Jurko in the building. Is this 2 weeks in a row we've been able to see each other?
I think it is.
This is fun.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Did we miss one?
I think we have.
I never know. But it's always good to see you,
2
Jurko.
out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, especially with how much I'm running up to Hallis, and I haven't forgotten about you. I think about you every Friday.
God bless you guys.
Every single Friday.
You guys have a ball up there.
How are you feeling today, my friend?
I'm quite exceptional. I'm a little bit stunned. Minnesota got their asses kicked last night.
Yeah.
But that's good for the Bears. So
thoughts on that face mask call that was not?
Well, obviously he's not wearing a red jersey and he doesn't have Mahomes on the back of that jersey. If you breathe on Mahomes, there's a 15-yard penalty waiting for you. So, yeah. And I think, like per usual, you get a handful of games where you can come out and you can surprise people. And then eventually everybody starts catching up to you. I think they're starting to catch up to what Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings are all about. And, their defense didn't play well yesterday, and their defense usually carries them, and there were chances to make plays, and they didn't make plays. So, but hey, good for the Bears. They're 5-2 now. Yeah. It gives them a loss, gives the Bears a chance maybe to get some cushion as they move forward.
I talked about this on the Morning Breeze, my show over on the Windy City Breeze this morning. Do you feel like Detroit exposed some things with Minnesota that the Rams were able to take advantage of? I thought that Matthew Stafford, now he always gets the ball out quick, but I thought that he did a good job dealing with the blitz. Thought he was getting the ball out much faster than we've seen. That could just be having Puka and Cooper back. But did you feel like, they exposed that defense to now where teams can kind of figure some things out from them?
Well, they were patient in their offense, too, and they were also able to find other receivers. The good thing about having your number 1 and your number 2 back is it takes the pressure off those guys that were probably comfortable being the 3rd and 4th receiver.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it did. I mean, he missed Tutu Atwell on the sidelines.
Yeah.
That should have been a touchdown in like the series that they gave Tutu Atwell. They also kept both of them on the bench when they decided they were going to go double tight ends with one back and try to run a little bit of clock. It was interesting to see their big guns on the sidelines for that. Do I think that they've been exposed a little bit? Listen, Detroit barely beat Minnesota by a field goal. No, they still beat them, but there was a late field goal that ended up beating those guys. Did they expose him? I think Sam Bradford's been kind of exposed again.
But same story.
Thank you. Sam Darnold.
Same story. It's
Bradford,
actually
Darnold, right.
What Bradford go 12 and 5 that year?
I don't even remember. But Sam Darnold, right? So Darnold's he's been exposed, and now he looked invincible for a while. Now he no longer looks invincible. So that's part of the process that the Vikings are going to have to find a way to overcome. But, the Bears played Detroit well.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that. The Bears played Detroit well. I think they can beat up on Minnesota. I was never a believer, even though they got off to the hot start. Here they are losing 2 games in a row. I think they're still a pretty good team.
Yeah.
But, they'll be in contention now probably because they lose a tiebreaker to Detroit.
Yes.
They'll be in contention for what's the word I'm looking for? Wild
card.
They'll be a wild card team. They'll be a team the Bears are facing in the wild card to see who gets to play the West, the East, and the South.
I thought it was – I watched that game last night. I literally was just like, okay. I had 2 takeaways. I was like, I feel like, these are things that the Bears can take advantage of when they play Minnesota, how they were getting after the blitz and different things like that. And as much as I love Roma Dunze, Jared Verse is an absolute monster.
Yeah. I mean, Verse coming off the corner. He had success yesterday in what he was trying to do. We'll see, what ends up when he plays against the Bears and when he goes up against our big fella Braxton Jones on the outside.
Verse already did. He had him sliding backwards, wolfing the entire game. Rams.
Oh, Bears, the Rams. That's right. That's right. They played already. But they found a way to survive the Rams.
Yes.
And beat the Rams, and they caught them at a good time, and there's no apologies for when you catch teams. I'm not apologizing because Puka or Cooper Kupp weren't
didn't
there.
Play, yeah.
Too damn bad for them. That's not my problem. So they found a way to beat a weakened Rams team. I don't care. But listen, yesterday Minnesota was in a position to make plays. And they missed. They're in a position to make plays against Stafford, and they miss.
Mm-hmm.
And when you miss, that's a problem. When you miss, you give other opportunities. And when you give up touchdowns, I think they gave up 28 points, right? It was
Their game
7,
ended-
14, 21,
Yes,
28.
28, 20.
Or were there field goals in
No,
between there?
game ended
And it
30,
finished
20
30-20
because
because of the safety.
Yes.
Yeah, it ended up 30-20.
Yes.
But it was, everybody was scoring touchdowns early on.
Yes.
14-14. Then I think there's a couple of field goals in the mix there. Somebody took a lead. The other team came back and they charged ahead and boom. But the Vikings had chances to make plays defensively. Cooper Kupp also adjusted on a ball on the sideline where he came back. It looked like they're going to run a slip screen. And then they released Cooper Kupp. And on the sideline, that ball's just being thrown up in a mass of people. But Kupp sees it. He knows it's going to be short. He cuts in front of the defender and he ends up making the play. So there were chances for Minnesota. Minnesota didn't make the plays. And ultimately, at the end of the day, in a game that you got to find a way to win in the fourth quarter, Minnesota couldn't win the game in the fourth quarter.
I thought that play was the one where I was like, are you guys aware you're playing a football game right now? That ball was so short, and they just let Cooper Kupp jump in front of him.
Well, I think
and grab it. I was like,
but there's
why'd
panic.
You stop playing?
There's panic in Detroit, not Detroit,
Minnesota.
Yeah, but I think the quotation is panic in Detroit.
Yeah.
But it was the Vikings secondary because they kind of had gotten out of shape a little bit because they had jumped the slip screen route. The guy was getting depth and he knew that the play was going to go a little bit longer. And because he kind of had to reroute and not take a traditional drop where he was, or because he had gone forward, now he's in panic mode. So he's not looking for the football. He's looking for the body. And because he's looking for the body and not the football, Kupp can see it. Kupp sees where he's at in relationship to him in the football. Kupp's the one that's allowed to make the play because he's actually looking at the football.
Right.
The guy from Minnesota is not looking at the football and he becomes victimized.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a fun game, and it was a game that benefits the Bears, and that is what I loved about it. Now the Bears have an opportunity to move to 5-2 this Sunday as well. And I think that this is going to be, and I've said this multiple times this week, this is a must-win game situation, especially now. I don't know if you've seen the update, Jurko, that it seems like there were 3 quarterbacks on the field today for the Commanders. Jayden Daniels was not one of them. With Jayden Daniels not out there, this Bears defense has to get after Marcus Mariota. And they played, and Flus has played against Mariota once in his time in Indy. He understands how to scheme against this guy, and he did a good job that day and held Derrick Henry under 100 yards.
Yeah, well, listen, he's not going to play Jayden Daniels. He's their primary weapon. He's the better of the quarterback. So do the Bears catch a break? Yes, absolutely. Do they need to take advantage of that? Absolutely. As important as Jonathan Allen no longer is playing for that team. He was out last week. He will continue to be out for the season, I believe. So, I mean, that's as important.
Torn pec. Jonathan Allen
as important as Jayden Daniels being gone is this guy being gone. So the 2-pack of them not being there, I don't apologize for anything. The Bears are in a situation where they need to be the best after 9 games, and 7-2 after 9 is what you've got to be shooting at. And that's what I'm shooting at if I'm Eberflus. I'm taking it one at a time. I'm using the fact that nobody respects what the Chicago Bears are doing. Everybody's putting the caveat that the schedule is allowing the Bears to be better than they maybe actually are. But I'm using that as a motivating factor for my team. They don't respect you. Nobody believes in you. You've got to earn your stripes every single week. And we've got to do it against Washington. And guess what? If we do it against Washington, they're not going to give us the respect.
No.
So
there's no credit coming from this game now.
You have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing it. And I mean, that's benefit for Eberflus and his coaching staff.
Here's my question to you. Would they have ever given the Bears respect in this game, even if Jayden Daniels is out there? The reason I ask that is because Jonathan Allen was never out there. That's an opportunity versus one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL with how the Bears have been passing the football to take advantage of that. And the Bears have Matt Eberflus as a defensive coordinator. I understand Cliff Kingsbury's the mind on the other side, but we heard Montez Sweat say it yesterday. Jayden Daniels loves the right side of the field. Seems like they were pretty well prepared for how Jayden Daniels plays. I think no matter what, this Bears team was coming out of this game with a win. I still believe that unless something wild happens, which it's the Bears. We've seen that happen before. But I don't know if respect would have been had anyway. I think at the end of this game, the storyline would have been, well, who did Washington actually beat? Well, we knew Jayden liked the right side of the field. Well, we knew this defense wasn't that good. So I don't think anything changed.
Yeah, I don't worry about the spray chart. You know, they obviously look at a guy, and if he's got a favorite area to go, that's his favorite area to go. So you'll probably defend that a little bit differently. You just kind of skew it toward that right side that he likes to throw to. Secondly, you can't worry about the Bears can't worry about as a team who does and who does not give them respect. You just use that. The coach uses that as a motivating factor. That's what they can use that for, and that's fine. You're going to get respect when you get to the playoffs and you win games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's when you'll get respect. Otherwise, you're just another team. You're a team that missed the playoffs. Last year, you were a team that missed the playoffs. And you're one of those, 18 teams that gets to watch
14.
everybody. No,
Oh,
18.
the teams that missed. The 18 teams, yes.
Yeah, they get to watch the teams that go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And after the first weekend, how many teams are gone? 8 teams are gone.
Yeah, 18, half of them.
Goodbye. You're gone now. We've got nothing for you. You get to go home, and then we figure out where you guys are going to be able to draft. So that's what ends up happening there. You've got to get to the playoffs and advance in the playoffs. You've got to win in the playoffs to get any type of respect.
I agree with that. And I think that these are the wins you have to get, especially right now with how tough this NFC North is. For the Bears to probably be a wild card team, you need to beat the Washingtons of the world. You need to go out there and beat the Arizonas of the world and be, like you said, 7-2 as you go into
and New England.
And
New England.
You definitely have to beat New England.
So I mean, there you go. If you can be, if you're able to do that, you get to go. You've won 6 games in a row. You put yourself in a position where you're in the hunt legitimately.
Yeah.
Not 4-7 in the hunt. You're 7-2 in the hunt, right? To cause some damage and make some things happen for you. And now you got 6 important games against teams in your own division where the worst you can do is go 3-3.
Yes.
3-3. And I'd like to have the 3 wins before you play Packers up in Green Bay at the end of the year.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
So I'd like to be 3-2 in the division. That would put you at 10 before you even go up there, I believe. You might even have more. I'm trying to remember. San Francisco isn't quite San
Francisco is very much beat up. You've also got the Seahawks on the schedule.
Right, but when you play
16
game, when you play San Francisco
in San Fran,
right, it'll be out there. They'll be a very desperate team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got a feeling they would be, and I'm sure Seattle will be too.
I think what's interesting about the San Fran point is, hey, you guys can go out there. Oh wait, are we not doing that ad read no more? Oh, okay, my bad. I tweaked.
Yeah, we already completed that.
My bad.
Everything's been given away. We're going to be out there doing a show out there on Friday.
Segue. That was a good segue.
We're having a Saturday lunch with all our friends from Verizon and from all the other sponsors.
Oh, my bad. As a professional, was that a solid segue I was going to make there?
It's already been handled. Yeah, it's already been handled.
I almost had it. I did that on the last pod too. I was literally like, I read it and then I was like, October 20th, and I got to the end. And I was like, Eric, you can just cut that out. The podcast.
All the horses are in the barn. Okay, all the horses are in the barn.
Well, let me ask you this, Jurko, because coming out of the bye week, I think there are some things that the Chicago Bears have talked about, the coaches have talked about this week in press, and that they say are addressed. But I want to get your thoughts on it. Because I think there's a few things that if you don't start to fix these, they will begin to bite you in the butt when you get to divisional play. Number one right now for me is slow starts to the game offensively. The Chicago Bears this season have only scored 10 points in the first quarter the entire season. And we talked about how Shane Waldron is now going to the script. I don't know if you like the script, but I thought the script was pretty abysmal when we watched it last week and the week before that. When he was off script, they weren't getting in the end zone. Are you concerned about slow starts to games right now? And is that something that needs to get fixed soon?
Well, it's been both offensive and defensively. I mean, I think how many first drives have you given up defensively also?
Yeah. But,
I mean, whatever ends up happening, they end up clamping down after that. Would I prefer they not give up a touchdown? But I've seen them do 2 3 and outs and then give up a touchdown in the next series.
Yeah.
So I think my overall concern is not just so much in the minutia, but of the big picture and how the defenses have been playing in the big picture. My concern for the offense is pass protection, the ability to pick up blitzes when they're going to bring pressure on you, to try to get the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands fast. We still haven't seen a lot of run after catch for the Chicago Bears this year. Complete the short ball and turn it into something special. So pass pro offensively and run defense. The average yards per rush against the Bears defense is up, I think, a full yard if it's not like 1.1 or 1.2 yards. So those are my two areas of concern. And obviously the third overall concern is the injury bug that's been kind of getting the offensive line and getting the defensive backfield.
Yeah, I mean, those were all on the list as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
those are my three areas of concern.
And I think the run defense is an interesting one. You bring that up, right? Because we've seen that run defense get kind of gashed at times, but they can clamp down in certain moments. I asked Eric Washington about this yesterday, and he basically said that he doesn't feel that it is still a issue, and stated, look at the last game against Tank Bigsby when they played out in London against Jacksonville. He only had 24 yards in that game in total, 7 rushes. Before that, he had 90 yards. He had 124 yards. He had 110 yards, 24 versus the Bears. And then last week, I believe he put up 110 yards versus the Patriots. Does that give you a little bit of confidence where Eric Washington is saying that it wasn't a talent problem? We just had to get our run fits and our gap protections right.
Yeah, the problem is that their run fits were problematic in the first 5 games.
Yeah.
Man, we pointed out on the big touchdown run that I forget who had
Chuba
it.
Hubbard.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard. We pointed out where the failings were on the defensive line. So the better defense to what Washington wants to defend his defense with, the one game example, is ultimately we're not letting points on the board. We're forcing turnovers. We're gaining possessions for our offensive team, and we're not allowing points to go on the board.
Right.
And I think that's your defense for anybody that was concerned with the average rush per play when the opposing team rushes it. Is, yeah, we're giving up a little bit more, but we're tightening down in other areas, and we're not giving up points. So that's the ultimate defense. Yeah, it's not as good as it was last year, but it's still good enough, and we're not allowing points. And there's your defense.
And you have, I think I don't know if this makes it.
And I could point to breakdowns like individual. Ultimately, it's player against player, and one player is going to win and one player is going to lose. Usually it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a stalemate. Mm-hmm. It's a tie in there. But at some point, our guys got to beat their guys. Our guys got to win. And I think ultimately that's what that comes down to, is our guys got to win on a consistent level. But our defense, nobody's really got complaints about our defense.
No.
The health of our defense, the little bit of it with the way they play against the run, but ultimately they're not giving up points. And when you don't give up points, you've got chances to win games.
I don't know if I asked you this last time you were on. If I did, I mean, just refresh our memory. But you being a guy who was on the interior, is it more because our run stuffer was Andrew Billings? He is now one of the best interior defensive pass rushers in the NFL. I was stunned when I saw that happen this season. Is him being more focused on rushing the passer a reason that we could be taking a step back in the run defense?
Well, I don't know if he's one of the best interior defensive linemen.
I mean, according to PFF, he's a top 6 pass. Fifth, he's a top 6 pass rusher.
Who's the guy with the New York Giants? The big fella they have in there from Clemson. He's in his 5th or 6th year. His first name's Dexter. Dexter something or another. Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence.
That's a monster on the interior. That's the guy that can get after the quarterback. Billingsley is still a run stuffer. The fact that he can provide a pass rush is a bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bonus. Now, the defensive line has gone with a rotation, and it's the rotation that has caused problems for the Chicago Bears. When they put Chris Williams in there, okay, and when Williams, love him, hate him, whatever you with him, the Chuba Hubbard was on him and Billingsley.
He's a little handsy.
But you got to fight pressure with pressure. There's some basic philosophies that you have on the defensive line that you can't get pinned and anchored and stopped without making some movement of that offensive lineman to help close the hole to give your linebackers a chance. Billingsley was double scooped, or he was scooped on that play. The guard was up to the backer right away. The tackle had him. Billingsley was hell-bent for election, running down the line of scrimmage. Reminded me of Chris Zorich, just head turn, body turn, running, trying to get to the hole because he was beat like a drum.
Yeah.
So there were 2 physical failings on that individual play that caused that Chuba Hubbard. It would have happened again against Carolina, except Chuba tripped in the hole. It would have happened again. They finally got him back to the sideline and said, fellas, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You can't get pinned. You can't get scooped. Our linebackers don't have a chance in hell. And they're going to bust this one out of the door every single time. So let's play it the way it needs to be played. And ultimately, they figured it out. They tried to run it a couple more times and went for nothing. And then, boom, then they abandoned ship.
Yeah.
You run stuff that's successful. Oh, we did it. Let's do it again. And until they can stop it, we're going to keep running it. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, it's individual play. They want to keep the guys fresh. They want to keep the guys healthy. So you get your second team out there. They're second team for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they're not the first team.
You're not a fan of the philosophy of doing it that way?
I don't mind a rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, we had a 3-man rotation in the middle. We had Schmengi, we had Lagerman, we had Tony Brackens. We had some studs.
Yeah.
So usually we had 6 linemen that rotated in. And once we got to 2nd and 8, 3rd, 7 plus, I wasn't in the game anyway. So I was out there putting another guy that could rush the passer in there. So you know what's happening when it's happening. And usually Billings, when it gets to be 2nd and long, 3rd and long, he's out of the game anyway, and they're putting in a pass rush.
Yeah, they got DeMarcus Walker will step in there.
Somebody goes inside.
Yeah.
You get your better pass rushers out there, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it works. The fact out of base defense, in 1st and 10 situations, 2nd and 6 or less, and 3rd and 4 or less, Billingsley's still on the field with regular personnel, and he could provide a pass rush.
Yes.
Is a bonus for you. And then Dexter's usually opposite of him.
Yes.
And he can provide that pass rush. Gervin Dexter,
Yep.
he can provide that pass rush for you. So that's a bonus is what that is.
Yeah, I think seeing how he's been able to rush the passer this year has really been impressive. And like I said, it's shocking. Like he was literally your run stuff guy last year, and that's what you expected him to only be.
I had 5.5 sacks in 6 games in 1993.
Yeah.
Nobody ever called me a pass rusher. 5.5 in 6
That's
games.
solid, though. They should have.
And I
would have given you your credit, good kid.
I missed Jim McMahon twice when he was playing for the Minnesota Vikings. I missed him twice. I had him in my hands. McDaniel was on me still a little bit.
Yeah.
And I let him slip out of my fingers. It could have been something magical.
It could have been a great
but
season there. Good.
Nobody ever said, boy, look at him. He's a pass rusher. No. And you can't look like Billings and pretend like you're a pass rusher.
Yeah.
You're not. You're a run stuffer who has the ability to get after the passer in a base formation, which is an absolute bonus.
Asset.
It's an absolute bonus. I like him.
Yeah.
Last year when he played, I told you he was one of my favorite players.
100%.
I think they made the choice between him and 93 last year.
Justin Jones.
Yeah, Justin Jones.
Yep.
So they made a choice between those two. All right, we're going to keep Billings and we're going to let Jones go in the offseason. Yeah. And that allowed Dexter a little room to get in there and maybe make a name for himself.
Wonder how many times Justin Jones has dropped back in coverage this year. Is
that what he does?
No.
Well, listen,
we
used to have, listen.
Remember, two plays, right. 2 games, back-to-back, 2 touchdowns.
I don't know what to tell you. We used to run zone blitzes all the time. I've tackled Tim Brown. I've tackled Jerry Rice.
You said
I've been out there.
You were on Jerry Rice out in coverage, right?
Man to man. Pass to the fence. That's what
Jerry
it's about.
Get past you?
Hey, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Stopping Jerry Rice.
But the problem was Jerry and Tim Brown were just running shallow crosses.
Oh.
So they weren't really getting by me. And they were like the 3rd option in the pass route.
Right.
So at that point, the pocket was breaking down. I'm sitting there. So you've got one choice, and it's the guy coming across. So it's fortunate in my life that I've got that on my resume.
Yeah.
I can look at it and say, hey.
Yeah, you don't got a caveat. You just said Jerry Rice didn't get a catch on me.
Didn't get by me. No, he made a catch, but I brought him right down.
Oh,
Tim Brown made a catch on me, but I brought him straight to the ground. So it was Lance Briggs-like coverage.
Okay.
Where he caught the ball, but he didn't have any yardage after that.
No yak allowed.
No yak.
I like that.
No yak.
I like that.
Yeah. I just like dropping in coverage. I found myself 17 yards deep one time, and it was Rice that I was under, like a 2 under. The one that I missed was we're playing in the NFC Championship game or a playoff game against Dallas, and I dropped in coverage, and I was worried about Novacek going deeper down the seam, and I didn't see the shallow cross coming from Michael Irvin. If I could have hit him like in stride and just absolutely destroyed him, I don't even care if I beat the ball. I was just going to go through him. But I didn't recognize it because I wanted to get depth with Novacek. And then he throws the ball, and it looks like he's throwing it straight to me. And I'm putting my hands up, and I'm going forward, and a streak of white and silver comes across. And it's Michael Irvin catching the damn ball. I'm like, mother humper. My head wasn't on a swivel. Your head's got to be on a swivel.
Yeah.
If my head's on a swivel, I take off a Novacek. I know I got body presence there. And I just look to the right or to the left to see. But because I was on the line of scrimmage, I didn't terrific.
Hey,
If I could have come in and just cracked him across the jaw and maybe give him a concussion and caused him problems later in life, that would have been great.
Jeez, Jurk.
That would have been
Your
great.
problems later in life.
Problems later in life. That would have been great for me.
This has been a violent podcast this week. I'm not gonna lie. You know, we got called out by Washington fans, which I didn't even know they had them. But we got called out by Washington fans for saying in football, if they put Jayden Daniels out there with bad ribs, hit him in them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we got called out for that.
That's why most guys, most guys won't wear a brace on something that's afflicted
because they don't want
the target on there. But absolutely,
yeah.
Well, I mean, what are we doing out there?
I'm not gonna.
Well, I'm going to avoid his rib. No. Every chance you get, every chance you've got, you take a piece of him out. You know, a guy's got a bad shoulder. You see the harness.
Yeah.
What do? Abuse that arm. Abuse it. That's the way the game's played.
Yeah.
This isn't, the America everybody wants nowadays, where everybody's soft as pudding. Not on the football field.
Yeah.
That's beautifully the wonderful exception where you don't have to be soft as Charmin.
Yeah.
Where you can just go after people. If you plan on playing not 100%, you could bet your sweet Washington, D.C. ass that we're coming after you. And if you don't like it, too damn bad. And let me tell you, when Stinky Schlereth was a Washington Redskin, I promise you, if the other guy had something, Stink was going to go after it. So let's not pretend. And let's not pretend that the Washington Redskins of Joe Bugle and Joe Gibbs, when they had that big offensive line, the Hogs, if they didn't see something they could take advantage of, or a player that was not 100% that they didn't take advantage of them, you can go kiss my sweet American ass. Because that's what was happening.
That's great. There's a podcast right there.
Send that to Washington.
That's a podcast right there.
Send
that to Washington.
Send that to Washington. Play him. Play Jayden Daniels, and I promise you we're going after his ribs.
Yeah,
I promise you.
Play Marcus Mariota, and they're probably going after his ribs.
Well,
they're available to hit.
Listen, as long as the plays are legal.
Yeah. And
as long as the plays are legal, they're within the frame of the whistle.
Yeah.
And you can't drive anybody into the ground anymore. Everybody knows what the rules are. When you see it, you say, I'd like to say when you see a face mask, you know what a face mask is. But that belies what happened last night.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the referees, two of them back there, right? Both got an angle on the play.
Looking directly at
there. You know why? They had reservations.
I was going to say, was there a dinner? Was there a dinner that was happening?
It was getting late. They're probably out of Ossobuco, and they wanted to get there before, maybe have a chance to get some. I don't know, but it was scandalous. That's the type of miss, and they're calling for it. And you see the defensive player running with his hands on his head.
He's signaling to them. He was like, I just screwed us.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty. And they're
smoking, gun still smoking.
They're sitting there like, So what are you going to do? But again, legally, you go after people. You don't go after people illegally.
That's like the what movie is that? Don't Be a Menace in South Central LA, when he's literally just walking through the store trying to get a bag of chips, and then the Asian guy's following him around. And the white guys in the back stealing everything out of the cash register. That's how they were looking last night.
Yeah.
At that play. Just like, we see it, but we're not looking at all.
Now, I've seen Falling Down with Michael Douglas. I've seen Colors. I forget who was in that one. It wasn't Dennis Hopper, but I've seen Colors. And that's South Central, I believe. And now, what's the other movie?
Don't Be a Menace in South Central LA is a Wayans Brothers movie. So it's more of a comedy.
Drinking
juice in the hood. There you go, EO. What you know about drinking juice in the hood?
And the other one was with Lawrence Fishburne.
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. They're always hard. You know that. Talking that trash, they'll pull your car.
Come on now.
That's old school.
Yeah.
That's old school. That's when I was still in my rap phase.
Yeah, you were cruising down the street in your 6'4"?
That's right.
Jocking it.
Yeah, I forget how that went. I know that's
the same side.
That's Eazy-E, right?
That's Eazy-E.
That's Eazy-E.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
That's right.
So
yeah, I saw a lot of South Central movies, and then the one with Denzel, Training Day. The one with Denzel.
That is South
Central.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of those movies, but I haven't seen that one.
You got it. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You reference one.
You can watch that right now and die laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a problem? Tap into that for the weekend.
The Wayans
I need
brothers.
a report. Yeah,
Right.
the Wayans brothers did that one. That was
Right.
When they were doing all the
It's
comedy spoof movies.
It's comedy.
Yeah. tap into that, and you report back to us next
All right.
week. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Before we get out of here, what's your prediction on this game Sunday?
Oh, I got the Bears 31-17. I think it's always good to keep the opposing team under 20.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm going to keep them. 31-17.
Okay, I like
And this week, I think it's a Doomsday and more that have themselves a
Ooh.
day. A
Does,
Doomsday and more.
Does DJ Moore get anywhere close to what he did last year?
What did he have?
By the way,
last year?
why are we playing Washington so much? We
It's
played Washington the last 3 years.
Quirk of the schedule.
230 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Quirk of the schedule. We played the Cowboys 4 out of 5 years when I was in Green Bay. 8 total times, I believe we played. No, 7 total times we played them.
That's crazy.
Once in the playoffs and once in the regular season for 3 straight years. Then we missed a couple years and played them once. Yeah. Aikman's, I think it was Aikman's second year we played them. Third year. We played them in Milwaukee. And they came in there and they beat up on us.
Why were you in Milwaukee?
Because that's where the Packers played 3 of their games in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Milwaukee County Stadium. You're too young. You don't remember.
I don't remember this.
You don't remember 3 games a year up until 1994. The Green Bay Packers played 3 games in Milwaukee. Both teams were on the same sideline.
Oh, that had to
and
be
separated
fun.
by the 50.
That had to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there some chicanery on those sidelines?
I don't think there was ever any brouhaha.
Really?
Yeah, because we're all professionals.
Yeah.
We're all professionals. So the 50 was there. It was just a long run. If you're on goal line and you're on their side,
You gotta get to the
and
other
you
side.
gotta, and I'm subbing in and subbing out. I'm like, trying to get there.
You're getting more run
in for the substitute. Oh,
hey, man, we
shit.
appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love for the good kid, John Jurkovic. It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Let us know your Bears predictions
30
in
years
the
ago.
comments below.
30 years ago. I just realized 1994. 30 years ago.
Yeah, Jurk, I was born.
That'd be like if Fuzzy Thurston said, Jurko back in 61.
yeah.
When I used to talk to him. Said,
I was born that year.
Yeah.
I was gonna let you not hear that.
him and Jerry Kramer. I'm like, what the hell?
Stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.